right, all you devils, how we doing today? Sam here with you. It's Tuesday, the 27th of August, and of course, on a Tuesday, we're looking at traditionals. You guys know I love traditionals. I prefer traditionals, truth be told, right? So the crypto's putting everybody to sleep at the moment. So I'm glad to see so many of you guys expressing interest in traditional assets. It makes me think that you're tracking them and applying what we're teaching you here into those assets, right? And just, if crypto is going to go dormant for a while, there's plenty of volatility in traditionals, to say the least. So first place of the polling we did today, gold was the clear winner. What nice timing, right, to bring this up. So I've got a daily chart. Well, I've got a 24-hour, but we'll call it a daily chart. Right where we left it, right? I haven't touched it. So I love when this happens, right? So, right, so look here. This is an example where the Elliott Wave has been quite helpful here, and I think will continue to be so. So we've had the big run up. Here's our ABC corrected. We get the makings of it was a bit of a rough start here, but I think we can make the case here that we've got a 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 has just gone in at this degree. Now, we had drawn this up before, and some of you will recall that what we have here is an absolutely textbook perfect golden corner pocket. Right? Not the 618, in the golden zone. 80% odds of getting there. I know when it's down here, you're looking at that going, oh, come on, man. Maybe we get the first algo target. Maybe we get up here to these prior highs, right? So that's the temptation, right? So you're up here, you're thinking, 80% is not going to realize, right? So you bail too early. Or let's hope if you did bail here, because you make a case here, right? It's pretty strong evidence that there was going to be resistance here. I mean, look at all that, right? So you're approaching that. You're thinking, I don't know. Looks like I can get a 5 in there. Looks pretty good. So I know that guy told me 80% that it gets there, but I'm not so sure. Well, how long did it take? So that's the 14th. That's 14. Jesus Christ. That's right. We're on a daily chart here. So that's the. It's almost a year. Right, so that low here is August. If I get that right there, August 14th of 18. We hit the median line. August 19. Is that when we hit it? Shit, it looks like we're hitting it today. August 19th. God damn, that's incredible, right? So there's more in there. Was just hitting it, right? So God, if I can get right on the day here, August 22nd. That's what I'm trying to get to. Right, so almost exactly a year, right? So you guys hear me talk about this a lot, particularly with FX. Now here I am using the XAU, the CFD here, so you can trade this with your FX broker, which I often try to give you guys the example here. How many can stay long in that trade for a year? Right, it's hard to do, right? So we're traders. We gotta be trading all the time, right? I can't stay in a trade for a year. What was your risk reward on that? All right, so let's say you entered at the 618. I mean, this is obscene, right? So I know, and so here's second target here. So let's just say you're under the 65, and your target is the median line, which we just hit there. 17 1/4 to 1. Yeah, but I had to wait a year to get it. Like, you didn't have to go big there. Now, it's a little funky, right? This was a little unusual, and you may not have seen it. So it was, here's the alternating swing pattern, which we know the algos respond to. It literally goes into the golden corner. It goes right into the golden zone. At no point is that stop threatened. Once it reacts out of there, you never had to move the stop. Now, would you have? Probably, yeah, of course, right? So I would have. I'm not saying I took that trade. I'm just, giving you the example here of why you want to be patient for these, particularly a golden corner on a daily. You see that kind of price action, it's the hardest part of it, right? Keeping your hands off the mouse. Because right here, when you hit that when you hit this structural resistance, which everybody would have seen, right? We all see that. We got almost 10 to 1 there. So would you be disappointed? Well, maybe not, but of course you did have the second opportunity. So let's say you took it because you're like, fuck, I can't wait. I don't know. There's other stuff. I got to buy some Bitcoins. You took it for whatever reason. You got the second opportunity. Look what we do right here on the channel. Right? I mean, there's a reason there's a pitchfork in my logo, right? I don't know anything else that gives you that. Nothing. That's all you would need, right? If fuck the Elliott Wave, you could just work off of golden corner pockets, right? And never have to worry about Elliott Wave at all. If you're inclined, how many of those do you need? A year. Well, so just out of curiosity, let's see what this retrace looked like. All right, and then we'll move on to where we are here. But just out of curiosity, so we get a 1. That'd have been a tricky one, right? That'd have been a tough one to grab, right? Because you'd been down here waiting at the 50. I would have. You're down here waiting at the 50. You're looking at this structure, going, "Oh, okay, I can see how it's going to get down there." Well, you get denied. So that is unusual. Interesting. I'd be surprised if we didn't get something technical here. Well, here's a 50. But yeah, right, I understand. You're not going to know, right? You wouldn't know. What the hell is that? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You wouldn't know. But right, so we're always looking. We never know until, I mean, that's the bitch of it, right? You never know until after the fact. What, you're trying to identify the trade. So if you were here thinking, I don't know, maybe I missed it. Maybe I'm not going to get the full 50, and it starts to go. Well, you got to start looking. Just like if it breaks a 65 and you got to move to a higher pivot or a lower pivot, depending on whether it's up or down, you want to start looking what they use. Looks like that 50. Well, look here where they get second target there. So it looks like that was used, right? I mean, you never know, right? But there's second target. Was that technical? Probably. Yeah, right to the golden zone. Third, well, you see it. Third target. I said, hey, just kind of making the case here, guys, that you want to be patient with these. If you get yourself positioned, as I consistently try to remind you, the high risk is when you're first going into the trade. If you can get it away from your entry, right, which is easier to say. Right, I understand that. But if you can get that reaction away, now this is a daily chart, right? So that's a bigger move than you think. But the reaction coming out of there gave you enough to, well, I mean, you had very little risk in the first place because it's just the spread to the 65. So you had, at no point was that trade threatened. None. Zero. No point. Just once we went in, it never went back until we got to the median line. All right, so with that established, now something has happened here. So again, if we want to pay attention, always look left. So what's happening here? Are we just bumping into some structure? Is it the structure? Is it the median line? I mean, is it the insanity across the world markets? Is it Trump? I mean, is this just a hedge? Right? So crypto traders are saying, kind of what I was expecting Bitcoin to do. Well, maybe it's coming. So there's not a lot here, right? So you're too late for this. Maybe you look at a channel here. We're a little beyond, possibly some throw over. Maybe, right? I might leave that there just to see if we're going to come back down. But right now we're pretty much to and through that. So now there's an example where if you wanted to use the fib channel tool, right? So we'd look here. So you can look for some of those. Remember, this is just the wolf tool, right? I didn't quite really mean it to be so red, white, and blue, but it just kind of came out that way just in terms of alternating colors because I always put the 50s. Well, not always. I try and put the 50s in red, but I need the alternation here. So the 1.5 is sitting up here. And then there was this as well. I noticed this from the swing low to the pivot here of the 1, right? So if I'm always looking for confluence if I can find it. So you see what I'm doing here? All I'm doing is just highlighting the first range, right? The initial range of the market, which in this case, right, is the 1 wave, right? So I'm just taking the range there and expanding upwards, right? Here's 100, right as we hit the golden, right as we hit the median line. Simple. It's not complicated. It's always about finding confluence. Okay, so median line, right? That's the big glaring obvious one. Here's 100% of the range. That's another one. Okay, good. I got structure here to my left. All right, that's something else. So is there anything to do here? Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to identify, do I have a candidate here for a technical pivot? Is there something more here than just the median line? Well, we just start looking for our fib relationships. Now, this is kind of interesting. So if I go from the low saying, okay, well, there's my wave 1, I'm going to project from my wave 2, I'm looking for that high probability zone for my wave 3. So if this is 1, this is 2, well, here's the high probability zone for the wave at that degree. So, oh shit, where is it? Here, there it is. So let me bring this down here. All right, there's your potential wave 3 of the first 1, 2. So here's the 1, 2 we're after. We're looking for the third at that degree. All right, so we got to have subdivision within that. So from after that 1, 2, we get, and this was a little tricky, no doubt, we get another 1, 2. Now we're seeking that third up here. So we got to remeasure. So with this marked here as the target for that 3, I'm going to take this one off, and we'll just go again. So from the low, if that's the 1, and that's my 2, so see how we look here. That's my 1, that's my 2. Well, what do we got? Look at that, lo and behold, hitting the 1618 as it hits the median line, in addition to what we just went through. So the 100% of the range expansion of the 1. Now you guys are starting to see it. So so as we get that, so now I've got three things there. Well, but that's not all, right? Because that's relative to the green. Now, we don't have to stop here, right? So it looks like the subdivision would imply that there's more to go. So at this degree, well, shit, maybe we're going up to the 2618, right? Nothing says we have to stop there just because we're in the most probable zone. Because after that 1, 2, I got another 1, 2. All right, so let's move this one off to the side. We'll leave that there. So hopefully the chart's not going to get so hard to see for you guys. All right, see, it's easier when you do it yourself because you're drawing it so you can see what's what. Okay, so we get 1, 2. So this is the green one. Here was the high probability zone for the green 1, 2. Right, so this one right here, right, we're looking at. So here's measuring from the 1, from the 2, projecting up. All right, we got to do the same thing for the internal. Here's the 1, 2 of the third. So I got to go to the 1. Then I got to go to the 2 here. I know it's getting hard to see. Look what we have here. So this at that degree. So just look at this confluence we have here. So at this degree here, so you kind of look at it. Can I use a line here? So you can kind of look down at this way so you can see what that relates to. So right here on the edge. So we've just come up a little shy of the 1618 at this degree. Now there's yet another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in there. So could it be that we're going to hover? It's very, very common if we hit, to hover as the market decides what it's going to do here around a median line. In fact, that's trading principle number 3. If we don't react and pivot at the median line, you can look for the market to hover around it as it decides, okay, which way are we going? Are we going up to the upper parallel? Are we going down to the lower parallel? So this little push here, the fact that we're denied that 1618, well, right, nothing says we can't get there either later today or tomorrow or at some point here. So I wouldn't necessarily assume the top is in. Right, is there anything in the oscillators to help you? Maybe a little divergence here. You can see it, right? You can see it pretty clearly, right? Now this can change, right? So their RSI has divergence. The Elliott oscillator has a little divergence, right? Not a lot. Well, you've had a little fall off here, but on the way up, you see volume increasing. Buyers are in control. All right, so we're still out here on a daily chart. Right, you don't have to be down on the 5-minute chart to trade these kind of things. In fact, I would tell you not to be, right? As I often remind you, I prefer not to go below a 15-minute. Okay, so unless we're day trading. All right, so 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, it looks like I've got all the subdivision I need for this wave here. 1, 2. I can get a 1, 2, 3. This looks very much like a 4. We just hover there before we get the final rock, and I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. There might be some more in that. Nothing says we're done, right? Day's not done. We could be tagging that later today. So what are we looking for? At some point, you would be inclined to anticipate that we're likely to get some. Well, let's just call it profit taking, right? So the people that caught the 3 are going to be looking for that. They're going to be looking for the 4. Right, and maybe it conveniently comes down to the edge here. Maybe, we don't know. All right, first problem is we don't have the pivot here to pull from. So if this were the pivot, we'd pull from the 2 at this degree. Get right in on that. Now I got to change the template. All right, so we'd be looking for it. And we might get something like this would be just ideal. Right to the 38. All right, and then we'll push up here. All right, so you're just laying out a roadmap like we do time and time again. Now, maybe we're going higher because that was the 1618 of the higher degree. Right? Nothing says because there's an algo target here, we have to stop here. We don't know. One, we don't know if this is the pivot. We have this pivot. We don't know where this stops, right? So if this goes higher, right, then the algo target will be right there. This moves up, right? You get how it works. So we don't know. But now note here that you can look at this as like a channel. So you can think of this just like a channel as it relates to the median lines, right? I'm assuming you guys recognize that. So if I were to just fatten that up, so you see here, so we're just using the median lines to create this channel, right? So think of this as the center line. We get the upper channel on this. So you see the similarity between channels. So the fact that we're hitting up here at the median line, again, nothing says we have to stop there, but the 80% is not relative to the channel, it's relative to the median line. So once I get that corner, in this case, coincidentally, right at the golden pocket, right at a golden zone to give me the golden corner, now the 80% is relative to that to that median line. Right? So that 80% has been realized. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't bounce back down here to this corner and then, well, shit, look, that would be a golden zone. But again, I don't have this pivot, so I don't know where to pull from yet. So it's premature to do that. Right now, all I can say is we've tagged the median line, so it's kind of a hurry up and wait. I certainly would not encourage anyone to be buying right there. Right? I mean, that trade has come and gone. So at this point, you're just waiting for the pivot. Now, I would, in this kind of a bull market, I would not be trying to trade the short side of it. Maybe you could make a case for the retrace here. So if you're just very aggressive, right, you potentially you trade the B into the C, right? I mean, there's plenty of opportunity there, right? But you're going counter trend. So I'm not saying don't go counter trend. Just be very aware of it. I mean, just recognize that indeed you're going counter trend. So if you're into something like that, be disciplined about your stop, right? Because the trend is you're going against the trend, right? So you got to recognize that in terms of how much you're looking to get out of the trade and what kind of risk you're willing to expose yourself to by going into a counter trend trade, right? It would have to be very, very, for me to do it, it'd have to be just perfectly lined up, right? Why do I want to trade the B into the C? For me, right? I'll wait for the 4 and trade I'll go with trend. I want to go 4 into the 5. I stay with trend, right? Unless something changes, right? No reason to anticipate anything other than the completion of this, right? We got to anticipate something. So let me clear this up a little bit. So as relates to looking at this now, well, as I said, you can't buy it. Well, let me rephrase. I sure as hell wouldn't buy it there, right? What do we have? 15, 16 points today. I wouldn't buy that today, but I would sure be eyeballing this. I'd sure be looking for any sort of so you could just look at this. The prior 3-4 would be a reasonable place to anticipate a retrace. Something down into this zone. You'd want to be well. Just like any pivot that you're trying to catch, if the market comes down here to the 4, we don't want to just try and pick the turn. We want to wait on a smaller degree, right? Remember, I'm on a daily. You want to wait. Maybe you're down to the hourly waiting for that first retrace so you can define the risk. So your stop's under that pivot. So you get what you're hoping will be an internal retracement moving to an external retracement where you can finish up like that. So right now, nothing to do, right? You missed it if you're not in it. I wouldn't take the short. That's just me personally. I'll sit and hurry up and wait. Now that could take, keep this in mind, right? That could take 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Could be next year before that comes. So that's to a trader, that's kind of a blessing and a curse, right? So the profit potential is so enormous here; it's very appealing. So traders are drawn to this. But the thought that I have to wait a year for something like that, right? That's most traders don't have that kind of patience. So I mention that because I'm susceptible to that as well. But I'm trying to offer you guys the opportunity to maybe think differently about some of the longer term plays here, where something like this in gold. You don't have to go heavy size here. I mean, how much money do you want to tie up, right? In this case, turns out being a year, right? See, I mean, you got to post the margin there, but you don't want to tie up your entire trading account into one golden corner, right? Now, it turns out that would have been a wise decision, but you had no idea, right? You didn't know. You didn't know it was going there, right? It's 80-20, right? That still leaves 20. So you're not putting the kids' tuition money in here, but you didn't need to take a huge position there. 1174 to 1548. I mean, your year could be done there. All right, good. All right, okay. Be on vacation until well, certainly you could take a break for the summer. All right. Anyway, so I'm just rambling now. A lot of lessons here, right? In terms of the patience required, particularly in FX. Right? It would be the same if we were looking at an FX chart. You got to give these things time. The wave count is infinitely easier to see out on longer time frames like this. You take this down to the 15-minute, and all of this chop just drive you crazy. You pull out to a daily, right? That's the place to start. Pull out to a daily. Oh, amazingly, the structure, everything looks cleaner, clearer. The wave count is certainly easier to read out here at this level than when we're down on a 15-minute, where it can change, 3 times in the course of a day or a week. All right, so lots to chew on there. No trade at the moment, but I'd certainly have an alert on this as we start to come down. So you might, even something simple like just this structure, just put an alert on that. We start to come down, oh, maybe that's the A wave going in. Now I want to pay attention, right? Again, could be 2 months before I get the C to complete, but I sure as hell am not going to miss that 5th. All right, guys, there you go. I'll be back with some more.